meant to ask you this after the game the other night. Obviously, may not be a factor with Oklahoma, but noticed RJ bringing the ball up a lot more the other night. Didn't seem like more than he has this year. Was that something you saw on film against A&M, or just trying different guys in that role?
You know, when most of our guys get a defensive rebound, they've got the license to push the basketball. When our fives get the rebound, we prefer they outlet it to whoever's manning the point guard position. But there's times when we're trying to push the pace, and it'll be after a made basket, and Cameron Matthews is so good at getting the ball out of the net in a timely fashion and trying to find the point guard, but he sometimes will outlet it to the first person he sees, and it gets me a little nervous at times because we're not as organized as maybe I'd like to be, but it puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and I think it was just a result of he happened to be nearest to the inbounder, and then on a couple defensive rebounds, he took the opportunity to push the basketball.
We'll go down the line with Benjamin and then Sam.
We've asked about him before, but Chris Beard said after the Ole Miss game that Sean Jones was the difference in that game with his team high plus minus, and he's been really good in spurts in a lot of key games for you guys. So what do you feel like he does that helps your team that maybe doesn't always show up in the box score every night?
Well, we every game we keep track of checks, so it's evaluated post game, and they have opportunities to check someone when the ball is shot on the defensive end. And I don't have it in front of me, but I would venture to say that he's in the top 2 or 3 of percentage of checkouts. And some have more opportunities than others, but he's so reliable that way. He doesn't necessarily rebound the ball at the highest level, but what he does do is make darn sure someone on the other team isn't getting the basketball. And defensively, I think he's been better the last 2 games than he was all year long. He's always had the ability to use his length and motor to disrupt the other team, either via on the ball or even in the passing lanes. But I think he's made a concerted effort to be better in terms of not giving up angles when guarding the basketball, and just being more square on the ball, and it showing up, and I've always said this about Sean is in most games, not all, but most, he just somehow finds a way to be there on the floor at the end of the game. He's earned a lot of trust from our staff because we know what we're getting. He understands, time and score. He was very visibly upset with himself when he missed a couple threes in the A&M game, and I remember some of our guys, really coming to his side in one of the later huddles and just encouraging him, and I didn't encourage him one-on-one, but I talked to the team about, not letting a missed shot or a turnover affect their mindset of what we were trying to do was obviously win the basketball game at that point. And then when he took the corner 3 away from our bench, I think there was a little over 2 minutes left, and we were pretty close to like, hey, we need to milk this thing out with the lead that we have. And I don't know if it got caught on camera or not, but I had a little bit of a dumbfounded look on my face when he shot that ball. But I was so happy for him when it went through the net. Just gave him a little bounce in his step, and I think the bench was really happy for him too.
You talked even before the season began that this season's team might not be as good defensively as the last 2 that you've had here, and but you're still at this point, I believe, on pace to break the program record in terms of total steals for the season. That's just, how do you maybe kind of explain that, where maybe there's been a slight step back defensively, but you're still getting steals at a very high rate?
Yeah, I talked to the radio guys before the game, like I always do, and even the TV broadcasters, in the shoot around. And what I told them was, I think we're a better defensive team than our numbers say. Now, I know that, you know, the numbers, the record is who you are. I get all that. But just from my perspective and experience, like, that doesn't mean you can't get great stops when you need them. That doesn't mean that you don't have faith and confidence in what we're doing on that end of the floor, just because our efficiency, you know, per, you know, some sort of calculation says this is what we rank. And that's kind of what I was trying to explain to them is I've gained a lot of confidence in these guys because they've kept working at it. Our staff has done a tremendous job of tweaking small things here or there to try to shore up some deficiencies that we've shown. And one thing that we don't ever talk about, and I don't really talk about it, you know, with the team is, you know, our steal percentage is very, very high. And at the same time, an area of concern for us going into the season because of lack of size was, you know, protecting the rim. And our block percentage it's got to be higher than it's ever been. And, you know, we don't maybe have some girth that we've had in the past, but we've got multiple guys that have learned how to use the shield technique with not being able to take charges. And I think it's really paid off for us. And then how we defend, you know, with the early help, you know, and the rotations, et cetera, getting those steals and having guys that protect the rim a little bit better than they have in the past, you know, has helped us. Our 2-point field goal percentage defensively is really, really, really good. You know, the one that's being maligned, and rightfully so, is the 3-point percentage. But, you know, we'll see. But I believe as the season continues to progress that will still come back down.
We'll go to Coach's right with David and then Jacob.
We almost take Cam Matthews' versatility for granted sometimes, but have you had players before your experience who one series is lined up in the post defensively and goes the other end, he's basically played point guard?
Fortunately, I have. I love those players. I've had a couple guys like that, and they're just fun to coach. You know, they got a Swiss Army knife type skill set, and you know, I don't ever get tired of talking about Cam. And you know, the thing about Cam that I love the most is his number one priority are his teammates, this program, and winning. Like he don't like it when he misses a free throw. You know, he doesn't like it when he has, you know, a silly turnover. Nobody does. But he doesn't seem to let it affect him much, and he stays pretty locked in. And having faith and trust in someone on the floor that, you know, is basically at times an extension, you know, of you, and you know he's talking to his guys, you know he's trying to keep their minds right and keep them organized even while the ball is in play. He knows our system inside and out, offensively, defensively. He can play any position that we have, and you know, normally that's reserved for a point guard, but you know, leadership and organization can come from anybody, and he's earned tons of respect from his teammates because of his competitive spirit, his stature, you know, how he plays with that fire and passion. And don't get me wrong, some of you've seen it. You know, we've had our moments, you know, and that's okay. You know, when you play for a coach that, you know, coaches the way that we do, you're going to have that, you know, but it's always out of want to and respect. And you know, I don't want to think about it, but you know, it's not going to be as much fun when he's not around.